Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, forever, how long that's going to be. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Um, Tonight, I'm drinking on Sprite, drinking this because I was watching the game, which we're going to talk about right now. The Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. Uh, Wild card, man. The playoffs are here, so the wild card is and stuff like that. We got to talk about. Obviously, the Texans beat the Chargers, so they're moving on. But I want to talk about my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost to the Baltimore Ravens 28-14. The Baltimore Ravens dominated this game from start to finish. And the Pittsburgh Steelers looked like they went on vacation before they even went to Baltimore. All right. They showed no fire. They came out with no urgency, uh, no emotions, just came out flat, like they didn't want to be there. And they deserve to get their ass beat. Deserve to get it. And I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you know. Um, Watching this game, man, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry basically just they basically just did whatever they wanted to do. They took the soul right out of Pittsburgh. Um, that defense, which you kind of feel bad for because their offense didn't help them out. All right. What do I mean? Well, the Steelers and the Ravens, when it comes to rushing, Baltimore had 299 yards rushing. Pittsburgh Steelers only had 29 yards rushing. All right. In the beginning of the game, the Steelers won the toss. They decided to accept it. They came out, and the very first play, Russell Wilson threw the ball to Fairmouth. And easy throw. It was about a 7, 8 yard pass. He dropped it, hit his hands, dropped it, wide open. At that point, I kind of felt like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen. This ain't it. The Ravens came out with more heart, more passion, and this is a rivalry game too, not just a playoff game. This is a rivalry game in your own division, and you let this team just take your soul from you, and that's what happened. Um, Here's the thing: I think the Pittsburgh Steelers they got to do some soul searching now. Um, uh, Everywhere, including the coaching, including the coaching staff. I'm sorry. The quarterback, you got to address the quarterback situation. You got to get yourself a number two receiver. That offensive line, listen, um, I like the center. I think he was a rookie. I like how I felt like he belonged he belonged there, right? The way he commanded the offensive line, communicated. Um, I like that. But you gotta tweak this offensive line. The running back situation, I think you solid right there. The tight end situation, I think you're solid right there. The problem is that when you have I hate to say this, when you have an old offensive coordinator whose plays are ancient, right? If this is like the 2000s, maybe like mid up to mid 2010s, then okay, cool. But in this day and age of football, where you got to have creativity, you got to make the defense really guess of what you going to do and everything like that. This not it. This can't happen. And that offense was too predictable. The offense did not have no explosive players outside of George Pickens. Russell Wilson, even though he's a veteran, he can't move like he used to. I feel like Justin Fields probably could have been a better option in this game because of what he can do with his legs, make the defense honest. He just have to, let the ball go. Let the ball go, in my opinion, and not just do what Lamar did. Just take off with your feet. You got Lamar Jackson. You know you're gonna use his feet. Let Justin Fields use his feet as well. At least keep the thing going, right? Keep the drive going. But by the end of the day, got to give huge credit to uh, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Oh my gosh, Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. I don't know what you thinking. That could have been your guy. He wanted to play for Dallas. He lives in Dallas. All right. He could have been your guy, and you said, "Well, I don't know. We could know where we're gonna get the money." You know, you could have got that damn money. Come on now, stop. I hate these doggone owners. But guess who got him? Baltimore did, and you saw what he did on the ground. 180 yards rushing. Okay. Um, that Baltimore defense, man. Listen, they've been playing lights out, man. They look like a championship football defense right now. Um, so for me, uh, the Steelers has so many questions what they're gonna do. And also too, I would say this. Um, when it comes to their defense, their front four, you look at Highsmith, you look at Hayward, you look at Watt, no problems. Patrick Queen, really good linebacker. They had this rookie, I forgot his name from NC State. I think he's gonna be tough. I think he's gonna, grow and progress. He's gonna be I believe, he sticks with the organization. I believe he can be a starter for that team. Now let's get to the DBs. I don't know what the hell these DBs were doing last night. These DBs. See, when I watched the game, I felt like they I can't even explain it. I'm sitting there like they don't have Zay Flowers, so who is their threat at the wide receiver position? Obviously, they're going to use their tight ends more, um, but you just can't let these guys just run free. I'm like, y'all didn't put no pressure on these receivers, no pressure on these tight ends, nothing like that. And then defensively, I don't know what the defensive coordinator is doing because obviously they're gonna let TJ Watt take away Derrick Henry. When they do that little option, it's just an option. Simple read. It's a simple read. Okay. Take away Derrick Henry, but who's gonna take away Lamar Jackson? Nobody. They ran that same play over and over and over again. They ran the ball 50 times. Do you know how disrespectful it is as a defense to have them run the ball on you for 50 times? You see what I'm saying? And I don't understand the logic of what is up with these coordinators. You don't adjust before halftime. You don't adjust in the middle of the game. Like, okay, we gotta do man on man. Forget all of this. Man on man, spy on. Listen, two people, your responsibilities is this. One got Derrick Henry, the other one got Lamar Jackson. Everybody else, hold your ground. Stay disciplined, hold your ground. We could do this, right? Didn't happen. So the defensive game was trash. Offensively, listen, this offense has been trash really all season. They had some games where they put up points when they wasn't going against a top-notch defense. I get it. But the offense, when you're going against a really good defense, you got to do something with it. And they didn't do anything with it. So, uh, yeah. So I think with this organization, what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to pretty much what they're going to have to do is change. Excuse me. They're going to have to basically maybe change the coaching staff, and that includes Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has been there 18 years, never had a losing record, uh, which is a good thing. but it could also be a bad thing because now you can't get the quarterback that you want in that position because all your money basically is going to those on the defensive side of the ball, right? That's where the money is going. So now you can't get a quarterback. I mean, yeah, you got Russell Wilson for cheap, Justin Fields pretty much for cheap. But all these guys, your solution? No, I don't think Russell Wilson is your future for the organization. Um, Justin Fields, depending on who, because I don't think they're gonna keep the offensive coordinator. That's just my opinion. I don't think they're gonna keep him. Depending on who the offensive coordinator is, maybe Justin Fields will be that guy to say, okay, this is who I need, right? This is who I need. But at the same time, he has to have in his mindset, I can't be afraid to throw that ball downfield, right? We know he's a great athlete, but he got to be able to, read the defense better. Don't be afraid to push the ball downfield. And no, you got to use your legs, use your legs. So that's what I think. Obviously get a number two receiver, tweak up that offensive line, get a quarterback. I think that'd be straight. And look at some more DBs. I think you need DBs who are not afraid to play man, who, they gotta the DBs gotta help out the defensive line because you can't have the defensive line be the ones, you know, doing all the work. Cause listen, you gotta help them out. And if you're gonna let guys just run free without touching them and they getting easily wide open, like that first touchdown pass Lamar Jackson threw. Like, damn, dude, you what the hell are you doing? Like, seriously, I'm not understanding the logic. What's going on here? Um, and not only that, but again, as much as I love Mike Tomlin, he is a great coach. He will be in the Hall of Fame one day. But I think it's time for a change for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a change for him. Um, I think I think right now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're probably want to go after a you probably want to go after an offensive minded head coach. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't have great offenses during his time. I mean, when you look at the time with Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, that was a great offense, right? They were one of the top offensive teams. Just so happens their defense was terrible at that time. So, but when you talk about this team and what the ultimate goal is for this team is Super Bowls, uh, again, expectations exceeded expectations. But for the fan base, for the organization, is about Super Bowls, right? It's about Super Bowls, and we got to get back to being one of the top contenders for the Super Bowl. So um, maybe we got to make a change at head coach. I hate to say it. I love Mike Tomlin, what he does, what he gets out of his players. I just think it's probably that time. It's probably that time, and now, if they don't make the change, here's what I would say. If they don't make that change, obviously you got to get a new offensive coordinator. You can't bring him back. Um, Defensively, maybe it's the scheme. You might need to get like because back then, Minka Fitzpatrick held down the secondary. He's not that guy anymore. Hate to say it, he's just not. Um, So you probably got to get somebody in that secondary. Joey Porter Jr., we got to see what he's going to be like next season. Could he become one of the top corners in the league? Yet to be seen. So let's wait till next year, see how that plays out. But definitely they need another. Um, they need somebody in that secondary for sure. But often, biggest thing is their offense. Special teams are solid. Special teams outside of uh their defense, to me, their front four on the defense, special teams has been like that. Basically, their special teams was their offense, unfortunately, for this team. So I just think that, you know, fix your problems. Fix your problems, and we gotta see how this plays out. I won't be surprised if they bring back Mike Tomlin. But I think they gotta now they have to, it's like, hey, listen, this offense ain't working and where it need to be, gotta go. All right. You look at Baltimore, man, they look like a team that could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Now their road is a little tougher, say, than Kansas City, because Kansas City, they got to buy this week. Um, they're playing the winner of who are they playing the winner of? Wait, they're playing the Texans. Yeah, they're playing the Texans. So no, or is it the Broncos? But who all playing this week? I'm so confused right now. I'm really confused. Yeah, the Broncos made it. So I think it's the winner of that game. I'm not. Yeah, I think it's the winner of that game. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. Forgot to look at the chart, playoff chart. But Kansas City out of they got the easiest path to get to to the championship game than the Ravens do. So that's that. Because if yeah, that's that. So, but again, the Ravens, they continue to play like this. Hey, they can win the Super Bowl. I gotta give them credit, man. They continue to play like this, run the football. Listen, Lamar Jackson possibly gonna win his third MVP, but the most valuable player you have on your team in these playoffs is that man in the backfield named Derrick Henry. Give him that football, right? I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee, and I'm gonna tell you, watching Derrick Henry playing for the Titans, Titans didn't put a good team around him. Now there were years where the playoffs and all of that. I remember one year when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, they played them. Instead of giving the running back the ball, Derrick Henry, they put the ball in Tannehill's hand. He threw an interception. The Bengals got it, kicked the field goal and won. I don't get a lot of this logic, everything like that. So, um, yeah. So the Ravens have that the chance to make it to the Super Bowl. The Steelers, listen, man, we can't be mediocre no more. We gotta be a threat. We got now we have to be a threat. Because the way we ended this season, this five straight losses to end the season. Four in the regular season, one in the playoffs. That's not no, that's not how it is. I agree with George Pickens. I'm not very optimistic about this offense going forward. That's just being real, and they gotta make some changes. They gotta make some changes. Now, was it better the season prior? Yeah, but you don't have the playmakers that you need. You only got one. And I would look, Warren is a solid dude too in the from the backfield. Like a guy like he can make plays too. You know, Tavon Austin, he can make some plays, but you got to use these guys in the right situation. I feel like Tavon Austin, they didn't use him correctly, right? He's a guy that could, scare the defense. He can be use him in different packages, right? I feel like they could have used Justin Fields more in this game, which they didn't, and it hurt him. It definitely did hurt him. So by the end of the day, man, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers going to have to make some. This is the year where they're going to have to make some tough decisions. This is the year they're going to have to make some tough decisions, and we'll see how it goes from here. All right. I will. later on in the year, if they do some things, I'll talk about it. I'll see if I approve, disapprove. But right now, again, they're on vacation. Well, I feel like they was on vacation before they went to Baltimore. But hey, what can I say, right? All right, y'all. Let's go on to the next topic. Before we continue on, please remember to follow on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for right now. Uh, we all know what's going on with the whole TikTok thing, but we'll see what happened with TikTok. You know, we'll see. And also don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Drinking After Dark Podcast YouTube channel. All right, we got to talk about this next topic, and this is about Hulk Hogan. Uh, this past Monday, WWE Raw debuted on Netflix, and the highlight of the night is Hulk Hogan getting booed. All right, he got booed in LA. Uh, Not a good look for him. Honestly, I don't care. I feel bad for Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart, one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time. Been around for decades, still look the same. Uh, Came out, waving the American flag and stuff like that. But listen, they wasn't booing him. No, they wasn't booing Jimmy Hart. They were booing Hulk Hogan. And just so happens, Jimmy Hart just came out with him. I guess he was trying to promote his beer, whatever. I guess he has a partnership with the WWE. Why they have a partnership with him, I have no idea. But he got booed. Again, I don't care. I was never a fan of Hulk Hogan. Um, Not to say he didn't do so much for the business. I mean, come on, man. He really did a lot for the business. So you gotta give him that credit. If y'all remember during the Monday Night Wars, like I do, WCW versus WWF back then, it was like a back and forth, a back and forth. But by the end of the day, the reason why WWF won was because they gave one of the reasons um they didn't really focus on I put it this way, they was playing checkers while WWF was playing chess. They stayed the course. Um WCW, I think they gave way too much power to Hulk Hogan, right? Who didn't want certain people to hold the belt. Sting was one of them. Saying, oh, because they changed that finish. Y'all remember that Starcade? They that pay-per-view, they kind of changed the finish. Saying I don't think Sting is ready to hold the belt. Hell, Sting was the champion before you got there. So how you gonna say that, right? And I think you could tell he had way too much control because I don't think Eric Bischoff was when he got hired on, he really know nothing about the business. Not saying what he didn't do was phenomenal, during that run they had, but other than that, it was just too much of the same thing, right? They didn't shift it. They didn't focus on the up and coming superstars. They didn't do that. Guess what? They went over to WWE, and they WWE knew what to do with them. So that's how I felt about it. Um, but the reason he got booed wasn't um his wrestling or people think it's his political affiliation. Um, if that was the case, Undertaker would have got booed. But Undertaker, when you see his podcast and everything like that, you could tell this is a cool dude, man. Undertaker has always been cool. You look at the stories, you hear the stories. The wrestlers he brought on, these are the people that he is friends with. Like you see um Booker T, you see a Maven, you see a Mark Henry, you see a Godfather, which that's his friend, right? You also had other guys like Kane and who else did he have on there? I'm trying to think who else. I know he had his wife on there on his podcast as well. Who else? Doggone it. I'm trying to remember everybody that was on there. He had Teddy Long on there, which he know like both of them were in WCW together. That's crazy, right? Um, and not only that, but he's done other platforms. You see him on Stone Cold's platform. You see when him and Mick Foley go over their match and everything like that. The Hell in a Cell, one of the greatest matches in wrestling history, the Mankind versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell. Um, but when you hear when everybody has, it seems like everybody had a bad story of Hulk Hogan behind the scenes. Undertaker had one. You hear the documentary, the Vince McMahon documentary. Jesse the Body Ventura, who tried to unionize the wrestlers. Then Hulk Hogan, punk ass, went and told Vince McMahon he got hurt, he got wind of it, and that was that. Macho Man Randy Savage, may God rest his soul, has bad stories of Hulk Hogan, right? He even talked about how in the media he talked about him, which he don't mind, but when you start bringing somebody's family into it, oh, now we got to fight, and that's what happened. So you hear all these stories, um, and I along with some of the stuff, racist stuff that happened as well. The alleged racist stuff that happened. You it paints a bad picture of you, and whatever was done in the dark comes to light. So for me, again, I was never a huge Hulk Hogan fan. I tell you who I was a fan of in terms of wrestling: Bret Hart, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, The Rock, um, Mankind, Sting. I was a fan of Kevin Nash. I was a fan of Scott Hall. I was a fan of actually I was when he was in WWE back in WWF, he was Razor Ramon. And he basically took the bad guy. The bad guy is supposed to be a bad guy, but made him so cool that people wanted to be the bad guy. And so he made the bad guy cool when he was Razor Ramon. Uh Obviously he couldn't take that name, so he just went to his name Scott Hall. But huge fan of his. Triple H, obviously, when you talk about somebody playing heel, he does it very well. Who else? Booker T. I love Booker T. I hope Booker T sees this, and I would love to have Booker T on this podcast because I've been a fan of his since WCW with his brother Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray, Harlem Heat. So you have that, and there's a lot of guys, a lot more I can name. Rey Mysterio Jr., Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Rob Van Dam. Those ECW days. Uh, I mean, dang, it was so many guys I was a fan of. Hulk Hogan just wasn't one of those guys. Honestly, just wasn't. Didn't care whatsoever. But I would say this: uh, do I believe he deserved to get booed? Yes, I really deserve he. I really felt like he deserved to get booed. So that's all I gotta say about that. All right. Now let's get into the last topic. This last topic, man. Listen, uh, kind of excited for this guy, man. If you know about the Ball family, Lonzo, Leangelo, Lamelo, their dad LeVar Ball, um, they came into prom. This is when Lonzo Lonzo's the oldest. He plays for the Chicago Bulls. I'm glad he's back from his injuries and everything. Dad, their dad is a marketing genius, right? He said his son was gonna get drafted by the Lakers. Kind of like forced him to draft his son. Um, the kids from Chino Hills, California, and uh, obviously, um, Lakers favorite, their favorite team, and Lonzo at this, basically the rise of Lonzo was also the rise of LeVar Ball. Okay, because Lonzo, when he came out high school, obviously McDonald's All American, went to UCLA, number two draft pick overall to the Lakers. Obviously, LeVar Ball, media tour all over, coached his son's AAU team. LaMelo Ball, who's the youngest, he was the number was he was a top three pick too. Was he wasn't number one because I think that's the same year Anthony Edwards came out. Um, or was it? I don't remember. He was definitely a top three pick, but he plays for the Charlotte Hornets. Very talented, what he does. Um, but Leangelo, who is the middle son, and LeVar always said that he's the one that's probably not going to make it to the league. And if when a father pays attention to his kids and understand, he kind of gets it, right? That doesn't mean he didn't have his shot. I mean, G League, he had the shot to, make it to the league. It didn't work out for him, but he thrived in another area in music. Okay, and he came out with a song which went viral, went number one, and you see an app. I mean, when you have NFL teams playing your music, I mean, you got something right there. His viral song "Tweaker" came out, and I mean, it just went, it blew up fast, right? Real fast. I heard it. It took me back. So I'm 36 years old. I'll be 37 in a couple months. It took me back to my high school days, right? You look at around the mid 2000s. Well, I started high school in 2002, so in the early 2000s, finished in 2006. It took me during that era, right? And I felt like I was in high school again, listening to that music. The song is catchy. Um, it is something that you can easily like understand, in my opinion, compared to outside of Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. You look at like these type of rappers, I guess you could say mumble rap, whatever. You can actually understand what he's saying. Um, song very, like I said, song was very catchy. The beat, it felt like it took me back to the mid 2000s, right? Which, you know, it's kind of funny though because they didn't really, well, at their age, yeah, they were born during that time, but they really didn't get a grasp of it until, their thing was, Migos and all of that. That's their generation. But the fact that he could come out with the number one song in the country, I mean, listen, you gotta give him credit. When one door closes, another a door opens. You gotta take that opportunity, man, and you can't be afraid to go for it. And I think that's what happened. He wasn't afraid to go for it. And if y'all haven't listened to it, I know probably a lot of you have listened to it. If um if you haven't, I suggest you do. Again, music is subjective, like anything else in life is very subjective. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. I liked it, and everything because I don't. When it comes from an athlete rapping, um, you look at all the like rappers who had or athletes, professional athletes who rap. You look at Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson, Chris Webber. think Michael Vick had one. I think that's pretty much about it that I can remember. But you know, those guys now you have Leangelo who didn't play in the NBA, obviously played in the G League. Um, in college played for UCLA. Obviously, y'all remember that incident in was it China? At the incident in China, everything like that. But he had a number one, he had a number one song, right? And it blew up. And you could say you happy for him because we knew how badly he wanted to make it to the NBA, right? But again, it's hard, man. It's hard to make it to the league. No matter how much talent you have, even when you get there, it's like now if you're a number one overall pick, it's not guaranteed you're gonna be there for a long time. We saw what's his name, Anthony Bennett. He was the number one overall pick. He only lasts for a few years. I'm just saying. So it's really hard to get in, but also to stay. Uh, but you never know, man. Maybe this music thing is probably his calling. Uh, he might be able to do other things as well. Uh, that doesn't mean doesn't take away what he can do on the basketball court. He's just not Lonzo. He's not Lamelo. All right, that is how it is. He's not them. But he Tweaker is a song that again brought me back memories and brought me back to a time where you had the throwback jerseys, baggy pants, chains that came all the way down to your belly button. It just took you back to those days, right? And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So, um, great job, great job. If you got any more, I'll just say don't keep the same sound. Be diverse in your music. But hey, listen, you could say something that your brothers can't brag about. You had a number one song. Hey, that's something to brag about. That's something definitely to brag about. So I know LeVar is I know he's extremely happy for all of his kids, obviously. So um that's something that I think that he can sit on to be happy for his kids. All right. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in with me. Once again, make sure you follow Drain After Dark Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, forever how long that's gonna be available to us. We'll wait and see. And don't forget to subscribe to Drain After Dark Podcast YouTube channel. Also, new episodes you could uh, watch right here on YouTube. You can also listen on to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. Until next time, I'm Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast, and we out. Peace.